Evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, November 7th, 2018, and this is the Historic and Architectural Review Board. Our first order of business, well, I'm going to call it to order. And our first order is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone please stand. Our first order of business tonight is new business, HARB application number 2018-10, which is 207 Lansdowne Avenue. If you would give us a brief synopsis of what we would be able to see from any public right-of-ways.
Sure. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Springer. I'm representing the Gettys at 207 Lansdowne Avenue. You won't see anything from the street. Everything's occurring in the back of the house, unless you're maybe at the far corner over here. This is the site plan for the property, which is an existing condition. The original dwelling is in the center. Back in 2006, they went through a renovation that added a large garage and a family room patio. And they would like to make some modifications to the original structure, windows and doors. So it's all occurring in the rear section of the home, right along this area. That's existing condition. The proposed condition is to relocate or remove, probably just relocate a window that's in the kitchen, to put a set of Bilco doors back here for basement egress. There's no way to get into the basement except through a hatch in the floor. And then possibly some windows in the back of this part, but we're thinking probably not. And the big one, though, is putting a door with a little covering over the side, because you can't get from the kitchen out to the patio. You just have to go through the house to get outside. So it's really just some window and door modifications off the back. This is the existing condition of the rear of the home. There is a structure with no windows in the back. We were proposing to put some windows in, but since our application, I don't think we're actually going to put them in just because we want more cabinetry space. We have 3 windows in the back of the home here that are long. They look out to bushes in the backyard that are very close to the property line, and then a second floor window from the neighbors looks down into them, and the homeowner wanted a little bit more privacy. So they wanted to remove 2 of the windows and add a series of smaller awning-style windows in the top. And the other existing condition is on the side of the house that's facing the patio. They wanted to turn this window into a door so they could access the patio. You can see the original conditions of how the windows are detailed and all the porch and roof soffit details so that we could replicate that. The photographs, there's 3 of them. The far one in the top corner there has a circle around the 3 windows that we would like to copy for the back of the house here, to replace the ones that are so low. And so they would just be the same 3 windows. And then when you look at this elevation, that would have been the window that we put on the back side for the kitchen. But again, I think we're probably going to eliminate them because, again, we want more cabinetry in the kitchen. It's kind of a tight area. The detailing that is around this existing porch area, which was the addition in 2006, we are going to replicate those details, which are throughout the home, because when they did that addition, they kind of made the whole house blend. And that's the clad window and porch roof soffit and column details. So we were going to replicate them on the house as well. So everything's just being completely copied.
Could I pause you for a second and just
Sure.
ask, so from a public right-of-way, which is what this particular board is interested in, would we see Bilco doors, or we would pretty much not see any of these changes, correct?
Most likely. The Bilco door is low to the ground. They come up, 18 inches, 15 inches off the ground, not too far at all. And they are The Bilco door, there's really only one place we can put it that doesn't violate the setback. So because this is an existing nonconformity, we can't go beyond it because it violates. So the only place we can put a Bilco is right here, so it's tucked behind the garage. So you really can't see it from the right-of-way because this piece of property of the back of the garage is blocking it. You won't see these windows unless you're in their second floor of their home. This door you won't see as well because you can't access it or see it from the right-of-way. So it's all in the back of the house.
I make a motion for recommendation for certificate of appropriateness.
I'll second.
All those in favor of issuing the certificate of appropriateness? Looks like everyone's in favor.
Okay,
We
great.
can't really see
No.
the changes that they're making to the house, so
No.
it's something that we're fine with.
Okay,
So.
great. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
All right, at this point in time, we're going to move on to old business, and I think we have one item, which is a follow-up on 401 Midland from our last meeting.
I want to share with you some observations that I had on this. I followed up on the concern the citizens shared at our October 2018 meeting on the house at 401 Midland. I saw the house on October 15th for the second time. It has white vinyl siding now and is located on a corner with site influence. All the houses surrounding it have shingle siding. The house has a for sale sign out front. In my opinion, a takeaway here on this experience is this. Maybe we should be aware on whether or not a house will be put up for sale within 1 year is a question that we should ask the house owner when similar situations come up before our board. Perhaps for some house owners, it is a question of conserving costs for the eventual sale of the house in the short term. So, in my opinion, we should continue to suggest and advocate for common material style that exists on the houses surrounding a house that will be sold within a year. And that was the concern that a community member shared, that it doesn't fit. And when I went there second time now with the new siding, again, it's right on the corner, it has site influence, and it definitely does stick out. It's all vinyl white siding. But everywhere around it, again, I could see where his concern was coming from. All the rest of the houses surrounding it have shingle siding.
Bob, I just wanted to let you know that every time something like this happens, it strengthens the argument that the HARB needs to be able to replicate what our sister organizations do in other neighboring townships, and that they are tasked with reviewing and certifying appropriateness of exterior building materials. So I wanted to let you know that any of the commissioners who might waver at such controls need only to be shown this, and it strengthens our argument. So thank you very much for eloquently stating that case.
I agree with you. I think that we need to have a standard, a guideline, especially with cases like this. The challenge that we're going to have is something that we found out at the conclusion, or right after the conclusion of the meeting, that other townships are spending more than $250,000 to put together their ordinances. They are having fairly sophisticated studies done on the history and the properties within their jurisdictions, and they're doing their due diligence. We don't, as far as I know, have that kind of money that would ever be allocated towards our HARB. I think if we were going to do something, perhaps we need to find a less expensive solution that is still objective. I don't know what that is. I'm not proposing one right now.
My comment, I wasn't here last meeting, but my comment to what you just mentioned was that A lot of these ordinances are written with the help of grants. They are out there. It's just a matter of applying and receiving them.
So the grant that they had applied for covered, I think, I want to say somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000, and that was for one portion of one particular document, and it was a 50%. It paid for 50% of that one document, and they still needed to do the additional. They still needed to do the additional work. And then on top of that, they have a retainer to have professional historic architecture consultants review each of the properties and come back to them prior to the board meeting. And I mean, when you look at the all-in budget over the course of a year, I would imagine that we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of around $400,000 to $450,000 if we were going to try to replicate what they're doing.
Well, thank you for all of your input and sharing. For me, I think this concern is just a little bit more broader and not really specific. And maybe this is only a case of one exception, but what an exception it is, just going and seeing that. Maybe instead of like something being narrow in the ordinance dealing with materials, it can just still remain broad, where we can make an argument, suggest that if you do aluminum siding, it is not going to be in scale with the materials in scale with the surrounding houses, and leaving it up to the homeowner. We've had another case like this before, where the homeowner, I forget what it was, but it was in our early days. And I think we were still, earning our stripes and things. And, he came out and said, I could just put siding on there, aluminum, vinyl siding if I wanted to. And he didn't. But he did, make that case that, okay, I'm trying to do the best that I can do in the best interests of what we have. And that's what he did. But this case, I think, was a little different. And again, I just wanted to share that with you. There's another thing I was thinking of I'd like to share with the board, too, if there are no more comments.
I would say that this is certainly the type of thing that can be added to the efforts for the new ordinance. And we may not want to venture into the materials that are used, because there's a lot more than just style. But we can go into style. And one of the debates that we had a year or so ago, there's the style. It's this. I mean, for lack of a better term, it's the aesthetic or the style that that we can look into, because as much as we may not like to see aluminum siding, do we cut out the ability to have that? I don't know. My gut feeling, just from a personal standpoint, is no. But there is a way to be able to influence the overall appearance, and there are a lot of more affordable manufactured styles that replicate that of shake, of lapboard. There are options out there. So if we were going to do anything and be able to do it on the more affordable side to the township for putting together the ordinance, I think we should do it based on the aesthetic, the style. And then it's a matter of making sure that everyone knows about it.
And that it's legally defensible.
One other quick thing. I'm not sure if any of you saw that video that the township put out after our last nor'easter with all the flooding in Radnor Township. You did? For me, when I viewed that, I thought that was pretty dramatic. That was dramatic and very convincing. And I've kind of like researched and talked to people, what is this whole thing dealing with stormwater management? Well, it's a big issue in Radnor Township, and that video definitely goes and illustrates that. So one of the things I just wanted to share with the board, in my opinion, for what we do, just, very basically, you have a stormwater runoff problem where you have major downpours and the water has no place to go because it can't be absorbed into the ground. Now, some of the video contained footage, I believe it was South Wayne, that was in the South Wayne Historic District, which was really visual. Because I knew where that part was, because it's kind of like on the way to St. David's Episcopal Church in that area. But I was thinking, one of the things I just wanted to share that I was thinking of was like when we go and recommend the certificate of appropriateness with an addition in the current historic districts. I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is this trade-off, because the more, when we go and approve an addition, especially a large one, I think the concern can be, or at least has to keep in mind, that there's more space for water to not be absorbed. So I just wanted to share that.
The township has very specific guidelines on the calculations of impermeable and permeable surfaces when you're doing any type of renovation, and it is strict, and I think in a good way. I'm not using that word as a bad thing, but the concern is valid by all means, and the township, I think, it needs to not only address the impervious surface areas, but it also needs to address how to resolve the flooding that's occurring in a lot of the neighborhoods. But fortunately for us, it's not our board.
Cut in. Yeah, it's not something for our board to discuss, but it is, like, I'm glad you're a concerned citizen and looking to rectify situations that you see. But yeah, that's not part of this board. At this time, we don't have any public in front of us, but does
Motion
anybody
to
else have any
adjourn?
other comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Everyone in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Then I will say, though, that the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, December 5th at 6:00 p.m. All right, now we're adjourned.